Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon, and we're happy to be back after a 4-day weekend.
I'm Frank Isola. I think someone's taking a 5-day weekend. Not 4, 5.
Oops. You were called in out of the pen?
Yep.
Out of the pen, Frank Isola?
They went with the veteran right-hander. I was ready to go. But they have me on a pitch count, so they're only going to have me for a little bit.
Yeah, just don't, you can't get, need Tommy John before the show is over. Welcome to PTI. Tony apparently needs another day off, so I am joined happily today by our great friend, Mr. Frank Isola.
Could be
that was
better.
sort of a tepid Monday response. Let's start, Frank, with the Lakers now just one loss away from elimination. The Timberwolves narrowly beat the Lakers to take a 3-1 series lead, and Lakers coach J.J. Redick made no substitutions, none, in the entire second half, sticking with a 5 that worked really well in the third quarter. Frank, do you understand why Redick did it this way?
Yeah, I understand it because you don't want to go down 3-1 in the series. But when you get outscored 32-19 in the fourth, 19-9 in the last 5 minutes, the questions are going to come up. How come you didn't use somebody off your bench? My only thing, Mike, there'd be a couple of things. LeBron blocks a shot. Dante DiVincenzo, with 97 seconds to go, leads to the Dorian Finney-Smith 3, which puts him ahead. Minnesota calls timeout. At that point, are you saying the Lakers look gassed? Which is what Anthony Edwards had said. They look gassed. Next possession, he blocks Naz Reid, but here's where things turned, because LeBron settled for a 3. Maybe that was mental fatigue. He should have attacked the basket. Maybe they go ahead, and then that turnover that he had with 33 seconds to go after they had to call the timeout when it looked like Luka got tripped and to avoid the backcourt violation. So LeBron, I don't know, physically tired. I wouldn't say that. Mentally fatigued, because him settling for the 3 I thought was big, and obviously the turnover. For a guy of his experience, his stature in the league, his intelligence, you can't make that play.
Frank, I go back and forth a little bit on this because in real time watching that game yesterday, I understood that J.J. Redick was taking a calculated risk.
Yeah.
He had to gamble, and coaches have to do that. It's a flawed roster. They don't have the kind of depth, and they don't have exactly what they want after the trade, and we did not go into this postseason, or certainly the time after the trade, thinking, the Lakers have to win. They're going to win a championship this year. J.J. Redick has to make some concessions. And I understand this. And look, I bet you've heard this because you were around these guys, not as much as me, but quite a bit. Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan used to always say that during the postseason, when the timeouts are longer, they would convince their coaches, Pat Riley and Phil Jackson, no. I can rest on offense. Leave me in the game. We don't need to do this in the postseason. The Lakers get an extra day coming out of yesterday's game. They're going to be able to rest. Okay. So you play all those things in. And J.J. Redick's looking at this and thinking, okay, LeBron not only gave him a block shot, he gave him 2 steals.
Yeah.
LeBron was great defensively. I understand. By the way, on the other hand, Kendrick Perkins has sort of convinced me, wait a minute, because Perk says, hold on, look at LeBron's production first half where he's averaging nearly 17 points a game on 60% shooting, to second half where it's like 8 points a game on 36% shooting, and you go, oh, Perk's on to something there. And so that's what a gamble is. You have to give up something. You have to have some compromise. And Redick, ultimately, you can say he got burned, but I understand why he did it.
I mean, that's the thing. Jackson Hayes is struggling. You're going to put Gabe Vincent in. He was struggling. You're going with LeBron James.
He's
still making big defensive plays. Anthony Edwards played the entire second half. Julius Randle played all but 31 seconds in the second half. And I was wondering, watching the game, because, LeBron was 0 for 2 in the fourth. Let's remember that. Luka was 1 for 7. And I'm thinking, I wonder if Nico Harrison has a smile on his face. But the one thing the Lakers could learn, look what Nico did with that roster while Luka was still on the team. You add Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. They need athletic big men. And if they get knocked out in the first round, that's something they have to address, Mike. That's an issue, don't you think?
No doubt, Frank.
Yep.
No doubt about that. And again, we knew it was a flawed roster, and Redick's got to deal with that. And, the results are not always going to be positive, and now the Lakers on the brink of elimination.
Yeah, and let's also remember that, that big call at the end of the game when it looked like it was going to be Laker ball down 1. Instead, they call the foul on LeBron. And Anthony Edwards, who's terrific, goes to the free throw line and, of course, he makes both. All right, let's move to the East. The Knicks went up 3-1 on the Pistons yesterday after the ref swallowed the whistle on Tim Hardaway Jr.'s game-winning shot attempt, a foul that veteran crew chief David Guthrie later acknowledged the officials should have called. Joining the Pistons down 3-1 are the Bucks, who lost Damian Lillard to a torn Achilles early in yesterday's loss to the Pacers. So, Mike, which is the bigger deal?
Well, losing Dame Lillard is a big deal because that's a year. That means Dame Lillard's not going to be able to play next year. Dame Lillard is such a wonder to watch in the playoffs, and he and Giannis were supposed to give Milwaukee the 1-2 punch. They could get them back to the finals after injury-shortened playoffs, injury-interrupted, injury-ruined playoffs, and now it's ruined again by injury. And so that's like a category over here. Let's go back to the Pistons and Knicks because that is result-oriented. That one play causes havoc because that should be a 2-2 series because Tim Hardaway Jr., I know he doesn't shoot free throws as well in the postseason, slightly under 70 as well he does for his career in the regular season where he's over 80. He's going to hit 2 of those 3, and Detroit's going to win the game and even the series. That's just the way it's going to be despite Jalen Brunson's heroics. But you got to make the call. Here's the problem, though, Frank. Detroit has made a big deal. J.B. Bickerstaff, who I voted for Coach of the Year, they made a big deal out of swallow the whistle. Don't worry about the whistle. We're tough. We can play through it. Don't hide behind the whistle. Then be careful what you ask for because, that can cut both ways. I feel bad for him. The series should be 2-2, but there are a lot of calls that get let go. But here's the thing for me personally. I know I'm going back and forth now. On the jump shot, you got to call the foul. It's not a scrum on the floor. It's not a guy on the baseline stepping out. It's none of that. It's not an illegal pick with a guy sticking out his hip. On a jump shot, with the game on the line, you got to make that call. The league blew that. It made the admission. I don't know what else is going to be in the 2-minute review, but, man, the series should be 2-2.
All right, just under 9 minutes to go. Detroit's up by 11. Mikal Bridges, who was 1 for 10 after 3 quarters, hit that huge 3, which I thought that got the Knicks going.
Huge.
Karl Anthony Towns hit big shot after big shot, and Jalen Brunson, 15 points in the 4th. Everyone thought Cade Cunningham was going to be the best player in this series. It's been Jalen Brunson. So I thought the inexperience of Detroit, the kid Thompson is going to be a good player. He makes mistake after mistake, and Cade Cunningham turns the ball over way too much. And let's remember, he had a makeable shot that led to the rebound, which led to the Tim Hardaway play. My only thing about the play with Hardaway, it's in the corner. And it's a tough angle for most of the referees to see. I think Hardaway double clutching on pump, he's in the air and he double clutches. I think that throws the referees off a little bit. I get it.
Get a shot away.
But the referees admit afterwards, but that's when they have a chance to look at it. You want to have a rule where in the last 10 seconds of a game, a big shot, a big turnover gets reviewed.
Maybe.
But what do you want the referees to do at that point? They miss calls all throughout the game. Everyone wants it to be physical.
If you're going to review the foul on the baseline in the other game, don't tell me that the rules can't cover it, Frank. I don't want to hear it because that's double talk. Yeah. And I know nobody in New York wants to deal with the fact that the Knicks got one. The Knicks always seem to get one. Michael Jordan, wouldn't be Michael, it'd be Scotty, might have an extra championship if it wasn't for the Knicks